Great setting. Looks so good in here.
It does. Hi, Host Eric here. Let's talk to people. I'm here with Robert. President Robert. That's your name, right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. And he's somebody I've spoken with before on a few occasions, and I've seen him lots of times, but I've never really sat down and talked with him before. So, a long time ago, when I started talking with famous people, I mostly did interviews, me one-on-one with one person. And so, Matt, who's familiar with the show from the beginning, suggested, oh, why don't you interview Robert? I haven't done an interview like this in a long time, but it sounded like a lot of fun and an interesting thing to do. So here we are.
It's an honor.
Well, honored to have you. And can you start by telling us how it is that you came to know Mateo and familiarize yourself with this group of people here?
I would love to. Let's see. Should I go with the short, medium, or long version?
Well, I'll probably interrupt you in any version, so just start with wherever you want.
Okay, well, when I got out of high school, I chose not to continue any organized, institutionalized education. I knew deeply, viscerally, that I could do a much better job, much faster myself. And instead I started wandering around Los Angeles, which I call the kingdom of my birth. And I found my way to a music scene based in Venice Beach, mostly. Underground, psychedelic, super weird. Cut my teeth on some amazing underground venues. A place called McWorld, which I will cherish to the day I die. And I started running in this circle with a bunch of new age hippies, and I loved them. They were my family, my tribe. But at the same time, in the distance, there was this group of dark, rowdy, arsonistic, anarchist bike punks, and they'd come rambling through a show or a bike ride or something, and just a wake of destruction. And it was so attractive and repulsive at the same time because of where I was in my blissful, all is one mantra of the time. I moved to Portland for the better months of the year in Portland, spring and summer. And when I came back, I moved into a house with the hippies again. But something had changed in me while I was in Portland. I became politicized. I feel a little apprehensive being completely honest about it because I'm afraid that the government will hear this. And that's already kind of tipping my cards a little bit, but I became interested in the deep currents of modern politics and how we got here. And when I came back to the hippie house, they didn't give a shit about any of that.
I'm just showing Nick my room.
Okay.
I thought I had another. Is there another Odie's? You found it?
Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna bring it to you.
Thank you.
Cool.
I had a feeling.
That's
Are
all I
you
was
guys
gonna do.
drinking beer when you're not drinking beer?
I'm drinking O'Doul's.
Eric,
It's like an advertisement.
Wow.
Or you don't drink alcohol?
I do. But I've got certain arrangements with my friends, Mateo being one of them, and he's got me some O'Doul's here. It had some rocky moments over the years.
Alcohol?
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore myself. I had plenty of rocky moments too.
Yeah.
I had to quit alcohol. But the good news is about alcohol is that you can quit alcohol and still do drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, which are way more...
I celebrated my 3-year sober anniversary
Wow.
just a couple of days ago.
Wow. Congrats.
And I've done a lot of drugs during those 3 years, so...
Yeah, the drugs are so much more contained in a way.
Well, I don't think there's any drug besides alcohol that makes you make bad decisions in and of itself, right?
That's the essential characteristic of alcohol.
Right. It's like meth doesn't make me to make bad decisions. It's got a really bad rap, but
It has a terrible rap.
I mean, I can sit there and do rails of meth and be just fine. But you give me a couple shots of whiskey and who knows what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah. Opening doors that just start appearing out of nowhere.
Well, the problem I had with alcohol is I always needed one or two more drinks. I just always needed one or two more, and it was like until I was spinning, and then it was like, oops, too many. It was always I need more or oops, too many.
Yeah. I never figured out that middle ground thing that some people have figured out.
Yeah, me neither. And personally, I have come to terms with the fact that I never will, and that I am just not man enough to handle alcohol, basically. I'm just not a big enough man to handle it, and so I'm just gonna have to stick with the weaker drugs, like, you know, whatever, everything else. Actually, I have drug rules though: no PCP, no needles, and for me now, no new drugs.
Ah.
Man, I'm old.
These scientist kids are coming up with the zaniest shit, and you have no fucking clue what it's rewiring up there.
Well, there's enough drugs that I already know and have done that I like that I don't need new friends, right? I don't need new friends in the drug family.
Yeah, you got a nice tight-knit family.
Yeah, and
Keep it simple.
bring in some new drug and you might start causing problems, who knows? So, okay, so you start hanging out with these guys and you're a musician.
Yep.
I've seen you play a few times, and I believe in the band I've seen you play guitar and bass. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct. Do you have a preferred instrument?
No. I consider myself a guitarist. That's the instrument that I entered the world of music through. But I started playing bass. I started playing bass in the David Liebehart band. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He started out as a public access TV character. He's a Christian Scientist, I believe, is his thing. He is in contact with an alien species known as the Corendians. I think they're Christian Scientists also.
Oh, good.
He's a great guy.
Alien Christian Scientists are my favorite kind of Christian Scientists.
They email him. He showed me the emails.
That's really, really helpful of them. Very convenient.
It's super convenient, yeah.
It's great that their servers interact with our servers so well.
Right. And it also totally sidesteps the whole questionability of it. You know, if you're saying, I'm in a trance, I'm channeling Seth or Iwas or whatever, people are going to laugh at you. But if you can show them the emails,
Yeah.
proof's in the pudding.
There's proof right there. It's rock solid. There's no way to fake that.
Yeah. So he's a great guy. He does a lot of puppetry on the show, and then he was tapped for what's that thing called? Tim and Eric show.
Okay.
And so he got kind of famous, and then I think they booted him and stole his music. I'm sorry, this is a rumor. I don't want to get in any libel situation. But subsequent to his booting is when I joined the band. And he was always complaining about it, and that was, I think, the first time I played bass. The second time I played bass, second gig, was Santa Youth, 5 years ago.
Right.
This kind of ties into how I met Mateo. The first time I met Mateo, I was living in Portland. I think I mentioned, yeah. And all the bike scene family used to go up there often for certain underground bike punk events. This one was called Pedal Palooza. It happened in early spring, I think. It's like a week of bicycle activities all over Portland. And so all the cats came up, and my friend Troy, he had been wanting me to play music with him before I moved to Portland, and there was some sort of bike market, open air bazaar going on, and he was booked, and so he played and sang his songs. I played electric guitar over it, and Mateo played drums. And I believe that Mateo was living in his car at the time, had drove up for Pedalpalooza, and it was the first time we met. We played music with Troy. He ended up moving back to LA straight into this warehouse we had, kind of the first warehouse co-op situation.
Like in Inglewood, right?
Yeah, the Casa de Angelos.
I remember him talking about it. I don't think I ever was there. No, maybe I was. Was there enough? No, I wasn't there. There was a big red house too.
Big red house.
Was that before or after the Inglewood? I don't know.
Go
ahead.
That was a great spot. It was Never Neverland. It only existed for 2 years, but it felt like an eternity. Real fucking magical place. And so Mateo moved in there when he got back from Portland, and I moved back from Portland a few months later, and I moved in with the Hippies again, and I just couldn't I couldn't deal with the insistence on bliss when I, being recently politicized, knew that things were just so fucked, beyond repair. And I was obsessed. I needed to know how and why and who this all had happened. And so all of a sudden, the destructive, nihilistic, seemingly political bike punks were way more attractive, and I moved into the Casa a month after I got back, and Mateo and I were roommates. And then the Christmas season came, and he drafted me for St. Eve.
Well, I would say I heard more about the politics, because I would say I'm not disputing that political institutions in America are pretty fucked, but I think that the questions you asked of how and why and who, the how is the most important question, and the why and the who, the why is a question of interest but not very informative about anything that can be done, and the who is misleading because it implies that this is intentional.
Sure.
Rather than a natural consequence of poor mechanisms.
I agree with that.
All right, so go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but the reason that I cared about the who, and I continue to care about the who, has a lot to do with how. Because if I can pinpoint somewhere along this, infinite causal chain, or causal web, really, if I can sort of pinpoint certain who's, certain operatives, then I'm in a better place to understand them and understand the very personal how people presumably like you and I, have come to make these decisions, which have allowed us as a species to end up in what clearly is a natural progression. One of many potential progressions, but...
Well, I think the answer to the question is the presumption of we. That whenever you get individuals, and it's the only people who can take action are individuals. Whenever you get individuals who are arguing in favor of actions that we take for our benefit, that's when problems arise. Because they aren't me, and their natural human fallibility is just as bad as my own. and neither of us can predict the future very well, and nobody can anticipate all the unintended consequences of their political action. So, fuck you and political action is what I say to all political actors. I don't want your political action. It's unnecessary at this point, and get your freaking rules away from me.
Yeah. Yeah, the tyranny of the majority. It's unavoidable.
Well, it's the tyranny of internalized acceptance, internalizing subject status. That, well, it's the government. The government, you can't fight the government. The government, it's that institutional, internalized subject status. Like, we are subjects, and we have to do what the government says. And that it's natural that we should be subject to governance of that sort. You know, that's natural and acceptable baseline defaults. And that it's ridiculous to think that you shouldn't have to be subject to governance. That's the problem, right? People have internalized that shit.
Yeah. I kind of see it in this... I try to see everything in a quote-unquote biological sense. I try to see things as organs and bodies and organisms. And so I kind of see that when you start to build an organization, a nation state, tribe, trade organization, whatever it is, as soon as you start to build that thing, you are creating a bigger, an organism on a bigger scale. And as soon as you do that, you are distancing further and further, the bigger it grows, distancing the individual from this thing in terms of having a common language, a common plane, a common dimension, where as an individual you can affect this thing. You simply, I think of like the bacteria in our gut. They're a part of our body. We co-evolved, we can't live without them. They're oblivious to our existence, but they are a part of our body.
I think the answer to that is ownership and liability. You know, what you're talking about is the traits exhibited by large organizations that are bad that you probably say, I don't like these large organizations and the behaviors they're engaged in. Mm-hmm. Those behaviors are made possible by diffusing out ownership and liability so that no individual is ever accountable for anything.
Right.
Publicly held corporations are, I'm not opposed to the concept of it or anything, but I'm saying if you're going to complain about a corporation, one to complain about is a publicly held one, because those are the ones where nobody's holding the jar at the end of the day. It's a bunch of shareholders and there's no owner and nobody's responsible for anything. And the only liability they have is the value of the company going down. Mm-hmm. So that's a questionable state of affairs. And a corporation is, of course, a ridiculous legal fiction anyway. So, but that's okay. Privately held corporations, though, is another matter. It's understandable that an enterprise has its own financial setup. That makes perfectly good sense. I have 2 corporations, so I'm not opposed to corporations.
Yeah.
But they're both privately held corporations owned by me. It's just a way of having separate bank accounts for separate enterprises. You know, the worst kind of organization of all, of course, is the one that has no ownership, the government. Because nobody's owning anything. Everybody's empowered to do shit, but nobody owns the thing that they're doing shit to. It's like, it's the rental car of existence.
Yeah.
So,
and the insurance covers it all.
Yeah. And then, if you want to do some fucked up shit, how do you get away with it? You break it into a bunch of little tasks, none of which in and of itself is bad. But when you combine them all into one thing, it's bad.
Yeah.
And you get every person to do one little piece of that task so that nobody's responsible for anything.
Yeah. And every piece along the way has such a shining, golden, amenable reason.
Right. Yeah. So many good reasons for bad ideas,
yeah.
Right?
Everyone's doing the world a favor with each little piece.
Right.
goes home feeling proud of themselves.
All right, well, who are you going to yell about? Who are you going to yell about your car registration, Eric? Well, you can't blame the DMV employees. They're just working there. They just have their job at the DMV.
Your DMV video, by the way, is amazing.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for watching that. I appreciate it.
That made me smile a whole lot.
That's great. So, okay. So now you've been doing music in this scene for a while now. You're in a couple of different bands. You're not just in Santa Youth with the now defunct Santa Youth. You're also in the Manhattan Murder Mystery.
I'm not in Manhattan Murder Mystery, but I usually play with Matthew Teardrop in the Teardrop Orchestra.
Okay.
Which is when he gets to play his folkier stuff.
Okay. And what about Circus of Books? Does that still play?
Yes. That is such a dear band to me. I fucking love playing Mateo's songs.
He's got good songs, huh?
He is a master songwriter.
Yeah, I was listening to some of his shit on the way down to Long Beach the other day. He's got a lot of really good songs.
Yeah, he does. The level of intention and care that he puts into his songs. Watching him work on songs for years, knowing that they're not perfect, not where he wants them to be, and just plugging away at it is such an inspiration. It's good for me because I've maybe finished like 2 songs in my life. I'm really good at starting them, and I get maybe a verse, maybe a chorus, probably a bridge, but they never feel done. Everyone tries to tell me it's okay, they can be done. Short songs are good too, but I know that they're not done.
Right.
So I'm just leaving this trail of, little unfinished, untended babies. It's terrible.
Well, I kind of have a similar thing going on too, but I just say, well, it's good enough, and I just put it out anyway. But it'll be like 2 minutes long, and I'll just have one part, like one music part, and then I'll like drop out the music part for like a chorus. It's just like a little rapping or something, and then I just go back to the one part again.
yeah. That's my MO. Is starting it, the verse goes to a chorus or a bridge, and then comes back to the first verse, and then it's over.
I mean, that's fine. At least you have a chorus or a bridge. The thing is, I'll get like a cool beat. Like I'll get like a good bass part or guitar part and drums, and it'll be rolling along good. And then I'll like make up some vocals for it, and then I'll just sort of be like, well, that's all I got on that. So then I just make it 1.5 minutes long then.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like doing that thing you're talking about. I don't like putting shit aside and, well, maybe I'll come back to it.
Oh,
I don't
it's
like
terrible.
that.
It's an addiction now. It's bad. At least, and the truly awful part, really the only problematic part, is that I do not record them.
Oh, that's a huge problem.
Yeah. I think all the time morbidly about,
Why don't you just do a YouTube channel and
fucking dying and
put up all your half-ass shit up there and say, just like call it Robert's idea pile or something. That way people won't think it's supposed to be all polished and finished. You position it as,
yeah, Robert's half-assed, dirty laundry, untended babies. Yeah, I really should.
my bucket of shame.
Yeah.
I was trying to record a song today. The problem with recording real songs, like put together finished songs, is it's a lot harder than recording like loopy shit. You know? So I was trying to record Russ and Steven. I spent 4 hours trying to record it. I was unable to record anything. I got nothing accomplished because why? What I really need to do was practice it. I didn't know how to play it. I'm just like, well, I'll just record it. It'll be fine. It's not gonna be fine. You don't know how to play the fucking song, you know?
Yeah, you can't fake it.
And I started playing, so I was like, well, I'll just make it slower. So I played at 120, and after working on it for like an hour, I realized this is I actually tried singing over it. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so too slow. It's not even close to fast enough. And then I put it up to 142, still not fast enough. And I'm going to 160. I need to go to 160 to play that song. It's my only piano song. And I'm not very good on the piano, you know. I only know how to play one song on the piano, Rest in Steven. So I tried to record it today because I got this guy's like fancy electric piano at my house right now. It's got weighted keys.
Nice.
And I'm like, well, shit, if I got this, I should use it while it's here. And it wasn't a waste of time, but I just wish I had just not even bothered trying the recording thing at all and just practiced it. But I hate practicing anything.
Yeah, it's you either put the time in the practicing or you put the time in waddling through the consequence.
Yeah, one way or another they get you, huh?
Yeah. What is the name of your song that Mateo plays occasionally?
Second Night?
Second Night. That is one of my favorite songs.
Thank you.
Those chords fucking blow my mind.
Thanks. I think it's my most successful songwriting example. Even still, it's an old song, but you know, I like that one too. Thank you for saying so.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to sit down and make myself do the composition stuff. Occasionally I'll do it. Actually sit down and write a song.
Huh.
But mostly I'll freestyle shit and I'll like take 3 or 4 takes of the freestyle, and the fourth one it'll come together enough that it'll seem like almost like a song. But it's so lazy. It's so lazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to be disciplined about that kind of shit, though, right?
It really is. When it's like such a part of you, and when it's something that you just have to do, comes naturally, whatever. It's your bread and butter. It's easy to be lazy about it. Yeah, it's hard. Someone was just maybe it was Gibbons. Maybe not. Someone the other day I caught this conversation peripherally. They were talking about how people seem to think that it's like easy to be a songwriter, but it's not.
No, it's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And even with a big pile of songs that I've written or freestyle or whatever, when I assess the pile and think, which of these songs really just like grabs me by the balls and tickles, you know? There aren't very many. I've got hundreds of songs where like a few of them stand out. Like, what am I batting 1 for 100 or something? It's hard. Music's the magic, though. That's everything else in life I can understand that I do. Everything else that I do, I can understand. I can't understand music. It's pure magic. I have no idea where a melody comes from. None. It just comes out of my mouth.
It's like a whole other dimensioned world. It's a realm. I love the diversity of that realm. I love how many different ways there are to do the thing. How many different ways there are for different archetypes of people, or different types of people to approach the thing. You know, in a cerebral way, in a gut way. Those people that just been playing for years, amazing musicians, still don't know the names of the chords. Kind of thing. You know, or the classical guitarist who cannot jam.
Right, that's weird
just
too.
is,
right?
Like, physically incapable of ever just letting loose, and it's great. Everyone's got their place.
That's cool. That's almost 30 minutes, so we're gonna call this video for a close here. Then my phone's probably gonna die pretty quick. Thanks for watching Talk with French People. Thank you, French person Robert, for talking with us. That was a great conversation. And don't forget, people at home, to eat plenty of cheese.